Hi guys, and welcome back to Hilltop Farm and to another Sunday Soapbox. This week I want to talk about bobby calves. Bobby calves, if you didn't know, is what they actually call the calves in the dairy industry, from the dairy cows. Now we all know, well I think we all know, that in order for a cow to produce milk she has to have calves on, regularly. I very naive, until a few years ago, very naively believed that the mothers give birth to their calves and the calves stay with the mother for a period of time, and then they start taking the calf away and start milking the mother to keep the milk flow going. And that is not the case. It's not the common practice in the dairy industry. The common practice in the dairy industry is horrific. They mate the mothers. They go through their pregnancy, they go through the birth, and the baby is taken away from the mother in the first 12 hours of its life. And apparently it's heartbreaking because you can, they're obviously penned away from each other, and you can hear the mum, calling her baby and the baby answering, but they can't get to each other. And the babies are fed something like 12 hourly, which is not often enough for them. But in the first 2 or 3 days of life, a truck will come along and pick them up, bearing in mind that they can't walk properly at this stage, and they're expected to walk up ramps and down ramps and be transported on trucks, and they're frightened and they're hungry and they can't walk properly, and so they get injured and they are basically mistreated, and they're sent to the abattoirs where they they're killed and made into veal or whatever happens to be. Now pretty much all male calves from dairy cattle, this is what ends up happening to them. And a large percentage of the female calves. They don't necessarily want to replace the entire flock. They don't necessarily want to replace the entire herd of cows. So they only keep a few, and I'm sure some of the older cows are retired, and use the term loosely. They probably go for, make dog food or glue or something. But and the younger ones, replace them. But the majority of these calves have the most terrible, and short life. Not to mention the anguish of the mother. So, when I found this out, I was horrified, absolutely horrified. But I'll be honest, I love milk. I love cream, I love yogurt, I love milk, cheese, milk products, I do. So I looked into what can be done about it. And we're very fortunate here in South Australia. We have a company who their milk and their products are much dearer, but in emailing all the companies, this was the only company that responded to me and actually said, we do not practice that. They have their own herds, plus they have other farmers on contract, but the farmers that are on contract have guidelines they have to follow, and the treatment of their bobby calves is one of them. And then basically they're not allowed to, they're just not allowed to do that. The calves have to stay with their mother for a designated period of time, and then they are taken away, and the calves are then reared for a little bit longer before they're dispatched. But by the time they're dispatched, they're away from their mother. They're able to walk properly. Any animal going to slaughter feels a certain amount of stress, but it's not quite the same as being a newborn dragged away from your mother and you can't walk and you end up with broken legs and goodness knows what. My comment is, a lot of homesteaders are in a position, we're not unfortunately, but a lot of homesteaders are in a position to run on a calf, or maybe two, and grow it out, and then have it dispatched for their freezer. Now, obviously, I realise there are beef cattle that give you more beef. They've been bred because they're meatier. But if I was in the position to do it, I would certainly try it to see what's happened. And if you have in fact tried this, do leave a comment in the comments below, because I'd be really interested to hear. But the way I feel at the moment, if we were in a position to, I would buy one of these unfortunate bobby calves, and I don't know what the term's called. I have to admit, I'd neuter it and run it on for 12 months and then have it dispatched. And I feel if homesteaders did that, even if you've got a homestead and you've got an acre free, not doing anything, do this if you can. Save one of these poor calves from this terrible fate. And if you're not in a position to do it, do what we've done, and that is not support, where you can, don't support the dairies and the milk companies that endorse this kind of behaviour. It's not acceptable. This is the 21st century. We should not be treating animals this way. We should not be torturing them. Most of you out there are parents. A lot of you are women. I know you can't put human emotions on top of farming. I know that from our own farm, right? But I also know there's a certain amount of chemical and hormonal instinct in all animals, right? I know with my wife and other female members of my family, when they give birth, it's not just a human emotional thing. There is a hormonal and a chemical bond to that baby, and there is a built-in protection thing there. And if you can imagine having that newborn child taken away from you, and you can hear it a few rooms away screaming for you, and you're screaming for it, and then after a few days it goes quiet because it's been taken away, that's not humane behaviour, and it's not putting human emotions on it. That's just inhumane to do that to the animal, because it's a chemical bond it has with its child, and it's not fair for either one of them. So we don't endorse any company that does that. We don't endorse any farmer or any dairy that does that. And yes, we pay extra for our milk and our milk products. But when I drive past a field of cattle, I know that our family has done the right thing by them. Okay, and it's the same, with the battery hens and the mass production of chicken meat and any of that sort of thing. It's like when they keep pigs in these huge sheds, and they can't even lay down properly with their youngsters because of the way they're penned. In the last few years, we've all learnt about this stuff. We've all become aware that this is where our food has been coming from all these years. All the time, and all the time we didn't know. But we can't say that anymore. We're not ignorant anymore. We now know that this is what's happening. And it's time that we put our foot down and said, no, we're not contributing to this anymore. Look, I don't feel strongly enough about these things to become vegetarian or vegan. I'll be the first to say that. I love meat too much. I do not have a problem with that. We have evolved over thousands, millions of years. And we have evolved to eat meat as well as fruit and vegetables and plants and nuts and fish, but we eat meat. It's part of us. It's how we're designed, and I'm not going to fight with Mother Nature about that. And apart from that, I just like it. I like the taste of it. I'm not ashamed to say that. But I am ashamed to say that I'm part of the human machine that treats animals terribly in order to be able to indulge that pleasure of mine. So we do not do that anymore. We buy free-range pork and free-range bacon. As much of our chicken as we can, we produce ourselves, and what we don't, we pay the extra for to get the free-range stuff. I can remember, it was probably 20 years ago, grain-fed beef was the thing. It was the in thing. It was promoted as though this was a better quality of meat, the best thing you could put in your body. And now we discovered it's a scam. It was the meat industry telling us that this is what's best for you because it was what was best for them. Certainly wasn't what was best for the cattle. Okay, but we got conned, and we're not conned anymore. We know that grain-fed beef is not the best. Grass-fed beef is the best. The beef that are born in a field and grow up breastfeeding from mum until they're old enough to eat the grass themselves, and then they live their lives with the sun on their backs and the grass underfoot, and that's what they eat. That's what beef is, and that's where it comes from. That's where it should come from. And dairy cows come under the same category. And as I say, when I read about the plight of the bobby calf some years ago, it changed our way of thinking, and it changed our way of doing things. And dairy cows quite often get overlooked in this whole thing because they're sort of seen as the lucky ones on the farmyard, really, because they're not mistreated. They're treated like gold, and they're twice a day contact with the farmer, and they're milked and and that's great and that's wonderful, and they're kept in the best of health. They have to be, and I understand all that. But this one issue is the one thing that lets the whole thing down. And it's the one thing that most people aren't made aware of. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making you aware of it. Okay? So, and just on a quick side note too, before I sign off, another thing. All this skim milk is better for you. Low fat milk, fat free milk, all these things is better for you. We've been told this for years. Now, if you look it up, now all the studies are showing that this is not true. The only advantage that those milks have over full cream milk is that they have a lower calorie content. And even then, it's not hugely different, but it is different. But everything else you can forget about. It's obviously more highly processed than just plain full cream milk. But they're now showing that the body needs those fat molecules in order to digest the rest of the milk properly. The calcium and all the vitamins and minerals that are in milk, I'm not saying your body doesn't absorb them, but it doesn't absorb them properly or receive the full nutritional benefit from the milk without those fat molecules. So, in effect, I don't know what the statistics are. Let's just say, okay, there's low fat milk there, in here, 100 calories, full fat milk here, 150 calories. Let's just hypothetically say. But, whereas you're getting 150 calories and receiving the full benefit of all the nutrition and all the vitamin minerals in here, this one is 100 calories and you're only receiving about a third of it. And so, in effect, it's like dead calories, if you know what I mean. You're taking the calories and they're not doing as much as they should be. It's the best way I can describe it. But Google it and read up on it. So there's another one, for the homesteader too. Full cream milk, unprocessed as best you can, but leave the fat in it. Count the calories. Instead of having 3 cups of coffee a day, have 2. Get the same calories, but you also get the nutrition. Think of it that way. Okay, well that's enough for this Soapbox Sunday. So it's been good talking to you again. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Share us on social media and give us a great big thumbs up. And until next time, it's goodbye from Hilltop Farm. See ya!